Hello, everyone. Good evening. My name is Minnie Oberoi. So today, let's discuss IELTS speaking. Now, I'm going to give you some tips and tricks regarding IELTS speaking and how you can do well and achieve a good band score as far as IELTS speaking is concerned. So, first of all, let's understand what happens in case of your IELTS speaking test. All right. So, your IELTS speaking tests take place in three parts. So, basically, there are three parts or three sections. So, the first part that will last, say, somewhere around 4 to 5 minutes. During part one, the examiner will ask you very basic and general questions, such as tell me something about yourself, your city, what are your hobbies, your likes, dislikes, your family, your friends. So basically, say around 7 to 8 questions in your part one. After that, the examiner will move on to part two. Now, in case of part two, they give you a topic. Then you have 1 minute's time to prepare on that topic. They give you a pen and a paper. All right, you're provided with a pen and a paper. After that, you take a minute's time to prepare. If you want, you can make notes as well. And then you have to speak to the examiner for at least 1 to 2 minutes or till the time the examiner does not stop you. After that, you move on to part three. Now, in case of part three, the examiner will again ask you, say, roughly around 7 to 8 questions. Now, these questions are related to the topic that was given to you in your part two. All right. So, the questions in case of part three are quite relevant to the topic question that was given in part two. Clear? After that, the criteria for assessment. So, as you know, that it is speaking. So, coherence and fluency is the first major criteria that you have to clear. So, obviously, you should not fumble when you're talking, when you're speaking to the examiner. Your answers should be well structured and in good flow. Next, we move on to the level of vocabulary or the level of lexical ability you have. So you should use good vocabulary words instead of simple words. Like if suppose somebody says that I like to eat good food. So instead of that, if you say I like to eat scrumptious delights, that sounds better, isn't it? So you should use these kind of words. After that, accuracy of grammar or range of grammar also matters a lot. That is why I always tell my students to understand the question which the examiner is asking you. So if he says that what was your favorite dessert when you were a child, so you should say that my favorite dessert was chocolate cake. But some students, they tend to say that my favorite dessert is chocolate cake. So you are giving me the answer in present tense, and the examiner asks you the question in past tense. So you have to be very careful about the use of grammar and the tenses. After that, we move on to the most important thing, that's pronunciation. So it's also very important to pronounce your words correctly. So there's nothing bad if somebody is using a good word but the pronunciation is wrong. All right. So this is what we try to help you, and you work more towards your pronunciation at times. Now, when we go for the examination, some examiners are very friendly, but some are not so friendly. No problem. But you should always have a pleasant smile on your face, because a smile really works at times. So you should always go and greet the examiner with a pleasant smile, never to forget that simple smile. Now, avoid long pauses. So, whenever the examiner asks you a question, okay, so you should always answer without taking long pauses. So, the moment they ask you a question, initially take 2 seconds or 3 seconds to think your answer through. And after that, you should deliver your answer so that you don't fumble. Many students, they make this mistake that the moment the examiner asks them a question, such as, tell me about your hobbies. So those students, they quickly jump into it and say, well, my favorite hobby is, playing badminton, cricket. And now this is the problem area. All right. So you have to think first and then deliver the answer. Now, substantiate your answers. That's really important. So, do not answer close ended questions with just a yes or a no. Now, in case of IELTS, each and every answer should be answered with a reason. There should be a reason. Such as if the examiner asks you that, are you fond of desserts? So the wrong way of answering is no or yes. Now, instead of saying just a simple no or yes, you should always give a reason behind it. So, a correct way of answering is, oh, yes, I love sweet treats. In fact, for me, my dinner is incomplete without one. So, I've given a reason that, yes, I love it. And I think my dinner is not complete without a dessert. So, this is the way how you answer it. Next, you have to paraphrase your question statement. Always make sure that you have to paraphrase. Now, most of you must be wondering, ma'am, what is paraphrasing? So, paraphrasing basically stands for rephrasing the same question statement with synonym words. So, you try to use synonym words for paraphrasing your answer statement. So, you start by paraphrasing. Okay. So, how we do that? So, for instance, if the examiner says that is your city a favorite or a famous tourist spot, so you can say that yes, my city is quite popular as a tourist attraction. There are many fascinating monuments and historic buildings. Apart from that, my city is also known for its variety of delicious street food that it offers. So obviously, I have not just given a simple answer that yes, my city is a famous tourist spot. Instead of that, I tried to paraphrase the question statement. Okay. So instead of saying a tourist spot, I used tourist attraction. So this is how you use a synonym word to deliver your answer. Then understand the question. It's very important to understand the question before you deliver the answer. So don't just jump with the answer. All right. Take a few seconds, take 2 seconds to understand the question. So understand what the examiner asks you and then, answer it appropriately. So if the examiner says, do you think that neighbors should help each other? Take a while, think about it, and then give the answer. Yes, I personally feel that neighbors should always lend a helping hand as it is our moral responsibility towards one another. In case of any distress, one's neighbors are physically much closer to one than one's immediate family. All right. You must be wondering why ma'am is saying one's family, one's neighbor, not my neighbor, because that is the correct way of speaking. That is the formal way of speaking. Instead of say my or my neighbor, say one's neighbor. Correct? Now demonstrate your vocabulary. It's important to use smart words, good vocabulary words. So you should show how polished you are when you talk. All right. So you should always try to incorporate good vocabulary words. So you should never leave any chance of doing so. So if the question says, what kind of place is your town or city? The correct way of answering is, I live in a city, in fact, a metro city, to be precise. My city, Delhi, is the capital of India and is known for its historical events and cosmopolitan culture. All right. So instead of saying that I live in a city, it is a nice city, it is a big city, let's use some smart words. Incorporate cosmopolitan, historical events, famous scrumptious street delights. Okay. So you can add all these words to enhance your answers. After that, the most important thing, use the correct tense. Now, this is what I always suggest my students that you should always answer in the correct tense. All right. So your tenses should be used wisely and correctly. Ensure that you understand the question and then respond with the correct tense. For example, if the examiner says, what was your favorite subject in school? All right. Now, this question is in past tense. Now, generally, the students, they just jump in with the answer and they say that my favorite subject is mathematics. No, the question was in past tense, so the answer has to be in past tense. Correct? So the correct answer is I had a penchant for mathematics at school. I even won many awards for achieving excellence in the subject. Better? The sound that's actually the cherry on top. And obviously, it's one of the major content in case of IELTS speaking also, the correct parameter for IELTS speaking. So you should make sure that you pronounce the words correctly. So always use those words that you can pronounce correctly. And apart from that, there are few basic words. Like, off and on, I get a lot of students who say that, okay, ma'am, I don't like people's nature or nature. Now, please, nature and nature is something which is not acceptable in IELTS. It has to be nature. All right. Some students, instead of saying environment, they say environment. Also becomes also at times. Okay. School becomes a school. Okay. So you have to work on that. So this is what we train you, we groom you, and we make sure that you have good pronunciation by the end of your course. Now use idioms appropriately. The incorporation of idioms in your speaking is very important. It's vital. So be smart, but don't be over smart while using idioms. So you should use the correct idiom at the correct place and also in the correct format. So if somebody, like most of the students, they make this mistake that the magician, he performed the magic tasks with the slay of hand. So instead of saying slay of hand, they say sleight of hand movement. That is incorrect. It's not sleight of hand, it's slay of hand. Or, you should be particular about the place where you are using that specific idiom. So this is what we try to practice during our sessions at Yuno. Then how do we help you to improve your speaking skills? So you have 6 group speaking classes. So because it is a comprehensive course package, we have 6 weeks of program. So in that, we give you 6 group classes. So all the students are there, the teacher is there, and we discuss different types of assignments, how you are supposed to frame your answers. So in a group class, the basic benefit that you get is that you also listen to the ideas and thoughts of other students. All right. But if we have some introvert students, they don't have to worry because we also have a speaking one-to-one session with each and every student at least once a week. So that makes 6 group classes and 6 one-to-one speaking sessions. So eventually you have a lot of practice sessions. And if the student is an introvert person, so when they talk to the teacher on one-to-one basis, then they don't feel awkward. And in fact, that helps them to come out of that shell. Okay. Then we get you into practice not only for your pronunciation and your voice modulation, but we also help you to overcome your grammar pitfalls. Now, there are n number of grammar pitfalls, few grammar pitfalls that we have actually learned at school level. So we try to remove those habits as well. Now, you also have mock tests for your speaking also. And then obviously we have all the modules also covered in it. So we have different courses for that.
For live online IELTS classes by expert instructors, log on to yunolearning.com.